What's up, guys? Hey, so we've got Paula this weekend. I can't wait. And I love the fact, and I know the riders, we run them to the ground, but they run the whole Supercross series. They get one weekend off, and they're back doing 30-minute plus 2-lap motos in the heat. Man, these guys are true warriors. I mean, lots of athletes in other sports look at this and go, wait. After Supercross, they don't take vacations and chill? I'm like, no. These guys were back at the practice track. Listen, RJ Hampshire won the championship and was at Paula on Monday, and I have footage. McAdoo, there was lots of guys that were out there. And of course, I can't talk about the 250s without talking about Danger Boy, Hayden Deegan. But remember, guys, subscribe. The channel's growing tremendously. In fact, betonline.ag finally reached out to me. I will be doing a gambling show once a week. I'm going to take a look at their odds, and I'm going to break down some of my good picks. And if you want to do me a solid, and I would really appreciate it, I've got a link here. If you use that link, they help me out. So if you want to use that link, it definitely helps me. And yeah, I am affiliated with betonline.ag now. So without further ado, guys, let's get into this.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So one of the biggest things about these guys coming into outdoors is I look at is you got your favorites. You got RJ, you got Deegan, you got Vialle. And what I look at is how their Supercross season ended. Not necessarily how they were riding, but how much stress was on their body. Because I think people underestimate how much stress affects the body, the fatigue, the wear. I'm sure Coach Rob talked about that all day long as far as the stress score and what that does to you physically. You know, it's something to be watched. And I'm looking at Tom Vialle. Tom Vialle is a 2-time MX2 GP champion. This is a guy who knows how to ride outdoors. Now he knows how to ride Supercross. He's a Supercross champion. But he went through a lot emotionally at the end of that season. And typically, guys from Europe haven't fared real well their first couple seasons in the United States. It's hot. It's grueling. There's not much time off. The GPs, they usually give them nice breaks in between. It's a long series, but it's spread out to really not run these guys down. In the U.S., slam it every week. They flat out grind them. He's fast outdoors, but is he going to be 100%? Because in this class with this many good riders, you take a guy, and it's such a small, like you see a guy dominating out front and you think, oh, he's so much better than everyone else. He's only a couple percent better. You take a guy like Tom Vialle at 100% who can win, put him at 97%, and he's probably battling for 6th or 7th place. That's how close the field is right now. And my question is he 100% after that emotionally draining and physically brutal Supercross series that he just competed in? And RJ Hampshire, same story for him. But I know for sure RJ's not a guy that I worry about getting run down. That's a dude who just doesn't seem to have, he's one of those guys, those cardio machines, you just never has the end of their gas tank. He's just not a guy that I've ever had to worry about when it comes to fatigue. But once again, when you add stress into it, I mean, think about how you feel after a long day of work, you know, having something very stressful in your life, say you're getting sued, a divorce, what that does to you physically. Add to that the incredible amount of physical exertion these guys put out week in and week out, and you add the stress of a championship, which it's gnarly on these guys. And that's not something to take lightly. My question is, how will Tom handle it? And how will RJ handle it? I think RJ will be fine. In fact, he was one of the guys out at Paula. He wins his championship on Saturday night, and on Monday, he's out testing at Paula. What an absolute beast. If you guys haven't checked out the Coach Rob podcast, the amateur podcast, Navigating Amateur Motocross with him and Derek Harris, I strongly recommend you give it a listen. If you want to get through this sport and do it the right way, there's 2 really smart guys that'll give you some good advice. So check that out over on Coach Rob's channel. Epic Garage Designs. Slat wall, I'm telling you, get yourself some slat wall. That's it. Yes, Epic has floors, cabinets, and all those things. Start with some slat wall. You'll be shocked at how badass one piece of slat wall will make your garage look. EpicGarageDesigns.com. So Hayden Deegan didn't win the Supercross championship, which may end up being a good thing for him because he gets to stay in the class another year. He's only 18 years old. And, you know, he came into the season with that mystery wrist injury where he was off the bike, and that might end up being a good thing that he got the time to truly rest, because he went through a pretty taxing battle for that SMX championship last year. And sometimes the body, the endocrine system, Coach Rob could speak more to this, but your body needs to recover when you tear it down so many times. That's why Epstein-Barr is such a big issue in this sport, is when you mix physical exertion and stress and you don't give your whole endocrine system a chance to recharge, things like that happen. And this sport in particular probably has a higher rate of Epstein-Barr than almost any sport that I've ever seen. But that's why. It's the stress, the travel, and the physical exertion. You add all that in, him having to sit out and rest, it's never good to have a wrist injury. But the fact that he was off the bike for as long as he was gave him a chance to really allow that body, and a teenage body, which now he's 18, so he's kind of getting into his man days, so he has that man strength. Well, that's a good thing, and it's going to help him. And he looked really good towards the end of the series. He kind of built throughout the series, so he is prime looking into this outdoor. Sophomore slump, that's a real thing. It happens to guys. I don't think it's going to happen to Hayden, but that is a very real thing in this sport. Sometimes you're so hyped up your rookie year, everything just seems to go right. The expectations aren't there. When you get to that sophomore season, now there's expectations. It kind of changes everything. And I'll tell you what, guys, there's a sleeper heading into this series that not a lot of people are talking about. I think Joey Savacci on that new Triumph 250, which that Triumph, I don't know if you saw the whole shots that thing ripped. And from what I've heard, that chassis is easy to ride. And when you head outdoors on these high-speed, rutted, gnarly tracks where you're doing 30-minute plus 2-lap motos, he's going to be good. And this is a guy who's battled for this 250 championship many times. I cannot believe. So the guys at betonline.ag have him at 20-1 to win at Paula. While I don't think he's going to win at Paula, I would see him as more like a 9-1. If you're giving me 20-1, of course I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of money on that. He could definitely come out there and surprise some people. And Paula, unlike a lot of these other national tracks, start is key. And you know that Triumph can rip some starts. Jaliek's pulled that all year long with that bike. And we get our other title contender, Levi Kitchen. Now, Levi Kitchen, he's kind of in the same situation as Tom Vialle as far as the emotions, the physical exertion, the rib injury. He's been through a lot, ending the Supercross season, and he didn't get that bump of adrenaline at the end when you actually win, like what RJ got. How will he bounce back? I don't know, man. It's brutal. But Levi Kitchen was fast outdoors last year. He had flashes where he would get the whole shot and just check out. The problem was he couldn't put two motos together. It was always like a 9-1 or just these crazy moto finishes. He couldn't put two of those really good ones back to back, but he will this year. I think as long as he's not fatigued, and we're going to see after the first 3 rounds where he sits, and if this Supercross season took a lot out of him or did it fire him up. I don't know. That's one of those things where you really never know until you hit the track. And sometimes these guys' body, they think they're okay. They, ride short bursts really good. But when they tax it for 30 minutes 2 times in the heat, we find out if that body is really exhausted or if they're ready to go. Guys, I was supposed to be there with a ride strapped. There was a personal emergency. We aren't able to go to Paula, but hey, we gave away the camping pass. What a cool company. They just give stuff away, and they have supported me a ton. Chris over at Ride Strapped is badass, and I appreciate their support. So if you can, head over to ridestrapped.com and check out their stuff. If you're shipping anything across country, and a lot of you guys will be going from California to the Back East Nationals, and you need a trucking company, hit up Precision Transport. That's pretransport.com, a family-owned company that loves this sport, and they actually give you really good deals in customer service. So even if they didn't love motocross, this is the company to use when you ship anything with the truck. So there's lots of guys in that 250 class, and every year a couple guys come out of the woodwork. But one of the guys who's been there year after year, but he always starts slow, Joe Schmoda. Joe has got to break this curse. If he wants to be in this thing for the championship, he has to get some good results early and get a win in the first 4 rounds. If he can't get a win in the first 4 rounds, I don't think Joe will be there. You can't spot these guys that big of a lead. And I don't want to hear that the Honda is not as good as the Kawasaki. He chose that bike. That's a bike that Jet and Hunter both won on. Joe's got no excuses. He needs to go out there and get some results in early. And there is a lot of pressure on him after the Supercross season where he was the favorite coming in and then he looked really good towards the end. You can't come back out and tank the first few outdoors. He has got to come out strong, and there is a lot of pressure on him to do that. Another guy, Jalek Swoll. Jalek Swoll on the Triumph. I have high expectations for the Triumph team, and I hope I don't set him up to fail, but man, I just really think that bike outdoors is going to do well. And the fact that Joey Savacci has had this entire Supercross season to prep that bike and get ready for this outdoor series, that's a big advantage. And I think Jalek Swoll will be up there in the top 5 battling. You know, let's not forget, this is a national winner. This guy won High Point a couple years ago, and he's not too far from that. He had his best Supercross season that he's ever had, and guess what? He's a better outdoor rider, so watch Jalek Swoll. Both those Triumphs are going to get some good starts and be up there battling. A couple other guys that are out there that I kind of want to mention. Max Vohland is finally back. Poor Max Vohland. Max is on a 1-year deal for Pro Circuit. I hope they give him another deal. He looked really good coming into Supercross in the West and then had a bad hip injury. I'm actually surprised to see him racing and riding, but he is back. He was out there practicing at Paula. I'm assuming he's not at 100%, but he's definitely a guy that I hope he does enough to get a contract for next year, which I think he will if he hasn't already. Unfortunately, the black cloud over Austin Forkner continues. They're not even talking about it, but I'm pretty sure. So he had that horrible crash that, I'm not going to lie, it scared me. I thought we might see the first death in Supercross, and it might have been Austin Forkner, but turns out he was somewhat okay. Concussion, ribs, back, which is somewhat okay. If you saw the accident, you know what I'm talking about. But he was going to come back, possibly even for Supercross, but he sustained another injury. So the black cloud over Austin Forkner continues, and man, it just sucks because he's got so much talent. He's like this close to having the entire package. I mean, you change a couple things here and there, and he's right there where Sexton is. Like, that's who he came up with and was better than until injuries and a couple things go different directions, and it changes the entire direction of his career. But hopefully Austin Forkner figures it out, and hopefully we see him out there here pretty soon. I don't know the injury. Like I said, they are keeping it hush-hush. They don't want anyone talking about it. They don't want people like me bringing out the black cloud, but it's out there. Unfortunately, he got hurt again. All right, guys, if you want to know my picks for betonline.ag and motocross, check in with me on Friday. I'll be posting a show where I'm going to give you my picks, tell you who I think you should bet on and who I'm going to bet on, and make this season. It's so much more fun when you have a little action on it. And what's really cool is, so you think, oh, well, Jet's going to win every round. They have a bet on there, so you can pick whoever's going to win. But they literally eliminate Jet from the pool. So if Jet wins, it doesn't matter. You're cheering for whoever's going to get second place. It's pretty cool. They're doing some fun stuff. They're going to do some matchups, championship bets, race bets. The guys are excited about it, and I'm happy to partner with them. And if you do set up an account, which I recommend you do, take the link that I've got in the description, use that, and it helps me too. So I can grow this platform, and we can just take it to the next level. I'm excited about the next step, guys. So thank you, and I'll catch you later.